I thought I'd find you in good hands.
Felix! Felix, how are you? Dink, meet Felix Leiter.
Hello.
Felix, say hello to Dink.
Hi, Dink.
Dink, say goodbye to Felix. Man talk.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. A relic of the Cold War.
Shaken, but not stirred.
007 reporting for duty.
These are the 00 Files.
Welcome to the podcast of the 00 Files. This is episode 2 in our Man Talk series where we pose each other questions about James Bond. As always, I'm joined by my fellow Bond aficionados, Martin, Don and Anthony. Guys, say hi.
Hello.
Hi. There we go. All right, let's get this show on the road. The first question for today is, what are some of the Bondian things that you've done recently?
Great.
Anthony.
Oh my god. At the moment, I'm about to become a father for the second time, so I'm in the most un-Bunyan period of my life, I guess. So it will be...
Well, he did become a father according to the end of You Only Live Twice, the novel. When they look up Kissy and she has a little James Bond son walking around there.
Yeah, but Bond doesn't know it,
He doesn't know it, no.
I do know that I'm getting a son.
You're very aware.
Yeah, I do enjoy the fact that I know that I'm getting a son. I think the recent most Bondian thing I did is driving over here a little bit too hard with the Goldfinger soundtrack listening. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, that's fine by me. Martin, what about you?
Well, it's been a while, but the most Bondian thing I've done, I think, is we went indoor skydiving with some coworkers.
Oh, wow. Like in Quantum.
Well, yeah, no parachute and no, like, death at the end if you do it wrong, but like Quantum, yeah.
But along with a beautiful lady?
No, it's just like some sales coworkers. So.
Okay.
It's like a company outing or something.
There was like some kind of incentive and we won, so we did that.
But isn't that, in Quantum of Solace, isn't that how they filmed that in one of those places?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that work? Because...
It's a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah? Can you talk about it?
Well, the thing is, like, you have these instructors who've been doing it for years and years, so they just fly around, like, literally upside down, just doing all kinds of stunts, and then you're there trying your best to even keep your balance. And when you look down, you go up, and when you look up, you go down. So it's very weird to link those two together and keep your balance and make sure you don't
what is it
fly
like?
into
Is it like...
into the wall. It's being on top of a giant fan, which is spinning just hard enough to keep you in the air. So
it's a very tall building?
Yeah, it's like two, well, in this case, two very big, like, glass sort of shafts with a
It's
fan.
a vertical wind tunnel.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you have 007 in your mind?
Not really, no.
Just how the hell am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's great fun, but
makes
it is a lot harder than it looks, yeah.
Were people shooting at you?
No, thank God, no.
Any steel-toothed villains behind you?
I haven't checked. Maybe I should check the video footage.
Man. Sounds like fun. Is it fun?
It is, yeah. It is great fun. I had some photos and some videos they made during, which is very cool.
Is it dangerous?
To see it. No, you always have someone in there with you, so.
Okay. I'm sorry for all the questions, but I'm seriously considering doing this once in my life. So
I'd say do it. It's very cool to do, yeah.
It's my girlfriend's birthday tomorrow, and she wanted something to do for her birthday, and
You're going to do this?
she's going to get a crash course in indoor skydiving. Hopefully more a course than crashing, but we'll see. I hope she enjoys it.
Oh, wow. And you're not going to join her?
I'm not sure yet.
Why are you doubting?
Because I think it's her birthday present, so it's a bit, well, maybe I'll join her. I'll see.
You could chase her wearing...
We'll see. All right.
That's cool.
So, indoor skydiving for Martin, becoming a father and driving a little bit too fast for Anthony. Don, what about you?
Yeah, actually, I contributed to this question, so I had something very specific in mind. But I recently reread the novel Goldfinger, and in it, there's a chapter long where he's taking notes and being a secretary for Mr. Goldfinger. So that's kind of Bondian if you've been taking notes.
All right, everything can be Bondian.
No, but
taking a shower.
What I actually mean is something that I did for my birthday, which was awesome, because a typical Dutch birthday is where you all sit in a circle in a living room and you eat cake and drink coffee, and after a couple of hours, people leave.
How's your job? How's your life? All right. now we've done.
Now we're going to stare awkwardly at each other for the
exactly.
remaining 1 hour and 55 minutes. I didn't want to do that. So with a few people, I went to an escape room in a James Bondian style, and it was inside a Second World War bunker in the Netherlands, and it was underground. And we were locked in, and the story was that evil Russians have activated a bomb, and it's going to explode in an hour, and you have to find the code to deactivate it. And we were rubbish at it, obviously. We exploded, unfortunately. The Russians won. But it was so much fun because everything was in James Bond style.
Cool.
So you had like a suitcase, which kind of resembled the From Russia with Love suitcase. And you had to crack the code to get in there. And then you found a pass. And after a while, we managed to get into a second room. I've never done an escape room before. It was the very first time. Maybe that's why we were so bad at it. But it was so much fun because you hear the music for the entire time.
Was also Bond music?
Yeah, everything was James Bond.
Oh, cool.
So it's really something that is a lot of fun to do. And it was it was just great. The whole atmosphere and everything was really nice. I really felt like James Bond, except that I did die in the end. Which is a pity.
I'm curious, what kind of songs did they play?
It's just
The score or the songs?
No,
or?
the songs.
The songs.
Yeah.
Do you know how
songs.
Christmas trees are grown? Was
No,
that
not
one?
that one. No.
Oh, damn.
The theme
I always
songs.
wanted to hear that inside a Second World War bunker.
Wow.
I actually do play that song when it's Christmas.
I do. Yeah.
Do you like it? Do you like the song?
I like it. Yeah.
Everybody?
It's quite quirky,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
do have a soft spot for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's tradition. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's in recent times the most Bondian thing I've done.
All right. Well, that leaves me. I quit my job and went rogue, just like Bond did in at least 75 movies.
Your license to kill is hereby revoked.
Yes, and I also went to a couple of operas lately, which is always a great opportunity to dress up and think about which Turnbull and Astor tie you are going to wear. So that's probably it for me.
Was
I
there
guess.
a lovely girl with the cello?
Probably.
Lots of people wearing Q-pins.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen them, but well,
No, that's the point.
yeah. Probably. No,
I guess they really have found a better place to meet.
I didn't get a purple-handled souvenir case.
Do you actually enjoy the opera, or do you do it because you think your girlfriend thinks you're a better man if you go to the opera?
No, I enjoy the opera very much. I do.
And are you sure that you quit your job, or has a secretary asked for 3 weeks leave instead of your...
No, I don't
Okay.
think they...
Should have been back by now.
Tyler, where the hell are you?
I don't think, according to some ex-colleagues of mine, they wouldn't mind if I came back, but I would. So, no.
So 008 replaced you now, right?
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So that was our first question. What are some of the Bondian things that you've done recently?
What are some of the Bondian things that you still want to do? Is that a good
a
follow-up?
lot.
Yeah.
That's a good one for Man Talk episode 3, I think, because I need to think about that. one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We're going to put that in the bag.
Yeah.
Yes, in our backlog. All right. Next one is, what's your favorite Bond decade and why? Martin.
There can only be one good answer, Martin. Think
I
about
totally
this.
agree with you, Don.
I don't know. It's every episode has every decade has that one film. I'm like, that's a hard one. I think I'm gonna go and get myself slightly killed by saying 70s.
Oh, Martin.
That's the only wrong answer to this question.
I don't agree, but let's see. Don, what's...
Well, you're not going to elaborate on
Well,
that?
yeah, I don't know if I live long enough. I don't know what was in his coffee, but it's Roger Moore. So
Carbohydrate.
Oh, I thought it was Diamonds Are Forever.
yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm take that one
No,
for
but why?
the
Why
finest
the
one of
70s?
Roger Moore.
Why
Well,
the
it's my favorite Roger Moore film. It's of my favorite actors. It's the most outlandish one. I have a big soft spot for Moonraker, so that's in there.
You prefer the first 4 of Roger Moore to the last 3 of him?
Well, not so much prefer, but like I said, I have a weak spot for Moonraker, and Inspire Love Me is my favorite. So
Yeah.
And you have diamonds in there.
yeah, you have one Sean Connery, which is arguably fun. So
Yeah, I would definitely argue.
I was gonna say.
Well, let's
Do you also
start by
like
saying...
the fashion of the 70s as well?
Well, liking is a bit of an overstatement, but I can appreciate the fact that Roger wears some things which people are like marvel at this day and age.
Yeah, and he was still... it was pretty subdued compared to the rest of the fashion of the time. I mean, it wasn't like Roger Moore was walking around really with bell bottoms.
No, pink ties maybe. You enjoy
Big
the pink
sideburns,
ties?
that would be nice.
There's nothing wrong with a pink tie.
How about the cars? You have the Lotus in there?
Yep.
So that's a plus sign.
Yeah, I've got a tricked out Lotus, and I've got
An AMC Hornet.
I was going to say I've got an AMC that can do a barrel roll.
You have good soundtracks in the 70s.
I've got you.
Space Shuttle.
Live and Let
I was going to say
Die
I've got
and-
you.
Yeah,
Drax.
Like the
Moonraker.
Diamond
Yeah, okay.
soundtrack,
Yeah, but I don't like the Man with Golden Gun. Or
That's true.
It's not all bad. I
It's
mean,
not all bad. It's
there
not all
are-
bad.
there
It's-
aren't
it's-
any-
it's not-
it's
You
not
have
the
Jaws
worst
in there,
decade that
yeah.
you could choose. I don't agree with you there, Don.
No, I don't agree with me either. It's just I'm just
It's
having
not
fun.
like there
Go
are
on.
any terrible Bond decades. They're all fantastic. They're just one is a bit more fantastic than all the
this
other ones.
decade,
Well, this decade,
yeah,
I
only
mean,
brought us
the tens. Is that how you call
Skyfall
it?
and Spectre.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Well, we'll see. Don, over to you.
Okay.
you can
so-
pick only one, Don.
Yeah,
you
I
can
can
pick only one.
but I'm going to talk about two slightly because I'm doubting. No, I know what I'm going to pick because actually I do think there's only one right answer. that's obviously
surprise.
That's obviously my opinion. I'm actually going to pick the 60s. But I really enjoy the 80s as well. I really like the John Glenn films.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in doubt between those two as well. so-
Mostly because the Timothy Daltons, but I think the Roger Moores are perfectly fine as well. What I really like is how they managed in the 80s to just create a decent Bond film every 2 years, and they're good adventures. They're good standalone, fun Bond films. Nothing really wrong with them. Maybe they're not great or wonderful or special or whatever, but you know they're
They're all very solid picks.
yeah, they're pretty good. And you got my favorite Bond car in there with the V8 Volante and Daylights, and I really love the Timothy films. But the 60s, come on.
It's got to be the 60s.
I would
gotta
say
be the
there are
60s.
at least two fantastic Bond movies in the 80s, but
Well, wait your turn, Tyler. I'm going to switch to the 60s because there you have the first James Bond film. You have the most beautiful James Bond ladies. You have the DB5. You have the John Barry soundtracks, the original stuff. You got perfect Connery Prime. You have Majesties. It's just James Bond madness. If you have to choose one decade, and you got lots of films as well. You have 6 films in the 60s.
yeah.
Yep. Those
Those
were the days.
Those were the days. Yeah.
And,
So
even,
if
and
after-
even a couple of spoofs as well.
Yeah, you can even consider those. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, 60s for me.
60s for Don. All right. I actually took the scientific approach, and I got out my list with all the grades for the
That's always
movies.
a good approach.
And I took the average score for every decade and found, somewhat to my surprise, that
It's the tens.
My favorite decade is the 60s as well.
Oh,
Followed somewhat closely by the 80s.
Ah.
Well, I think I can wholeheartedly agree with Don that the 60s is where it all started. You had great flicks all across the board, starting with Dr. No, ending with On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and well, great music, great ladies, great cars, great stunts, great stories. So yeah, really the
bad
define-
CGI though.
No, but it's really the defining Bond decade, I think. And like I said, I think in the 80s there are at least 2 of my all-time favorite Bond movies.
Which are you going to tell us?
No, I'm not going to say yet. And the rest is also pretty good, except for A View to Kill. But no, the 60s first, the 80s second, and afterwards it's all a bit of a mix. Anthony.
Yeah, well, everybody knows my answer, right? It's the 60s. My top 3 films are in the 60s. As a matter of fact, I was thinking...
Your top 6 films are in this.
But my top 10 Bond films, I think all the 60s Bonds are in there.
Wow.
Maybe for the exception of You Only Live Twice. Yeah, it's what more to add to what you guys already said. The 60s for me it's my favorite Bond, my favorite Bond film, my favorite Bond girl, favorite Bond car, favorite Bond soundtrack, favorite Bond... second assistant director, everything is favorite in the 60s. So yeah, it's
even the grip
the
guy.
golden age of espionage.
Assistant to the editor, favorite.
Everything, yeah.
Favorite continuity people.
Favorite poster, favorite. Yeah, go ahead. It's all there.
Favorite
And
poster, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
mine
a good
too.
one for
Mine
the-
too.
yeah.
6
60s.
long actually. That's a good one for next one. Your favorite poster.
One from the 70s for me. Or the 80s.
So 60s it is.
No
Right.
one mentioned the 90s.
No.
Or the noughties, I think.
Yeah,
The
Well,
90s only had, in my opinion,
3.
one really
So,
decent
yeah.
Bond film.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good one, but it's only one.
I was going to say
60 says.
Yeah, 90s
Six
for
of them.
me is like one great one okay one, and one eh.
And the 90s only had 3, so that counts as well. All right, next question.
But I'm interested because for me, the worst decade is
let's
the
talk
current
about the
decade.
worst.
How do you guys think of it?
The current one?
It only has 2 films, and one of them I really don't like.
Let me see. These are the 10s. We have
I
2
agree.
films.
For me as well.
And the next one is going to be in the new decade, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the 20s.
Yeah.
So we have Skyfall and Spectre against the noughties, where you have... No, I like the noughties. I like Quantum and Casino
Royale
Royale.
had Die
The
Another
90s. I prefer the 90s to this decade. If I have to choose between the Pierce Brosnan films.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the
So we're actually... Oh, this is depressing.
the 10.
This is the worst.
This is
We
really
are living in the
depressing.
worst
Why did you ask me this question?
This is also the first time that all 4 of us absolutely agree
We
on
all
one
agree
thing.
on that.
This is the worst James Bond decade.
I think the only thing that's redeeming for this decade is the fact that we are recording these podcasts, which I wasn't doing in the previous 2 decades that I lived in. So
At least we're having some fun.
yeah.
Can we go to the next question, please?
The end is in sight, guys. It's 2019.
All right.
So
I was going to say.
Lay down the rope, get back. All right, never mind. So here we go with our third question of today. There are many James Bond spoofs out there, like Casino Royale 1967, Austin Powers, Johnny English, Spy Hard, etc., etc., etc. Are there any of these Bond spoofs that you secretly enjoy, or not so secretly? Don,
Yes, in fact, I can enjoy them pretty much all of them.
even Spy Hard?
Is that the one with Leslie Nielsen?
yeah, it is.
I can't remember that one really.
I remember that one for the excellent Weird Al Yankovic song. I don't know if you ever seen
Yes.
like the clip of it. That is just fantastic. That's the most brilliant Bond theme song parody anyone has ever made.
It's like a Thunderball-ish.
Yeah.
I can't remember it, but I will look it up and then I will edit it into the podcast and then I can listen to it.
It's great.
Yeah, but I'll have to refrain from comment now. But that's good. That's a good song.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Austin Powers films when they came out, especially the first 2. And I think I watched the second one the most even.
That's the Spy Who Shagged Me, right? The
Yeah,
second one.
with Felicity Shagwell
Shag.
and a lot of vagina. Is that the first one? I don't
That's
know.
the
That's the
first
first
one,
one.
a lot of it.
They kind of mixed up. But
Shag well by name, Shag very well by reputation. Yes.
and I really like the evil layer there with the guy that burns. What's the actor's name? It's the
Is the number 2 guy?
I'm number 2.
Name is number 2.
I don't know. It's the same guy from Anchorman.
Yeah, it's Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, thank you. He gets burned in the chair. It's from Thunderball, the scene, and it's like, actually, I'm still alive. I'm badly burned. It's
It's like a 5 minutes. Yeah.
You shot me. Why did you shoot me?
I love that scene.
It goes on. It's like that one was one afterwards where he returns and he falls, like has a car crash and it tumbles down.
Yeah,
That's again for 5 minutes.
I can't remember if that's the second or the third one. And you have the great scene with the steam walls, and it goes extremely slow.
That's the first one, isn't it?
I think so.
cracks
They
me
actually phoned the wife.
Yeah, this
Which is
Who
Lois
is
Charles.
Charles?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's so much fun. Yeah, I had so great fun.
Also, the
watching
scene
this.
where he tries to turn the car in the corridor, and it's just oh, that's so cool.
But they kind of lost me with Goldmember. That was
Yeah.
a bit.
It does have Michael
past its
Caine in
peak.
there. That's always
Yeah,
nice.
that's a redeeming factor.
But I'd love to revisit those.
And Beyonce plays a great role in that as well.
Foxy, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
been
Foxy
a-
Cleopatra.
It's been more than a decade since I've seen those, but I really would like to see them again.
I
And
saw
then short time for
Yeah.
it to see all of them. What others were on the list?
Let's see. We have Casino Royale, Johnny English.
I'd actually like to do a proper podcast on Casino Royale 67. If we,
I don't know if you have enough alcohol for me to get through that film.
would be nice eventually to put it in the deck of cards and
Yeah,
I think we
talk
should.
about it.
I think we should just like Never Say Never Again.
Yeah, also because of the rights, they now properly belong to Eon, I think. And they had every opportunity to make a good Bond film in the 60s. How can you not have a great James Bond film in the 60s with David Niven?
Yeah.
But still, they fuck it up.
Peter Sellers and Orson
a
Welles.
lot of good actors and a
Yeah.
strong crew as well with some
on
John
the-
Huston as a director.
Again, it's more than a decade ago since I saw it last. I think I've seen it twice already. But
On the
I'd like to
DVD,
delve into it.
the 54 version is on the DVD as well. So we can also take that
Ah.
one.
I'd love to talk about that. I really think that's
That's an
a
interesting one,
pretty
yeah.
good first try.
That's not that bad, is it?
It's not a bad attempt for a live version, and very early as well. 54, yeah. I went through so much trouble to obtain that film. I have it on American VHS. It was an import. And then I couldn't play it on a European record player for some reason, or VHS player. I went through a lot of trouble to see that film. But Johnny English.
Johnny English.
I like the first one.
I haven't seen those. I still...
None of those?
No, I
I only saw the
any
first
of
one.
those.
The
Isn't
first
it John
actually one-
Malkovich as the villain?
Yeah, that's the first
the one,
one.
huh? Okay.
He
And
tries to
that's
obtain the crown and wants to turn
Making
Britain
an-
into a
a
prison. And he's French. He plays a French villain.
Pascal Sauvage.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun. I watched it with my kids the other day, and they had great fun. And then we watched the second one as well on Netflix.
That's great.
And
Well.
the kids still liked it. It's a bit repetitive.
How many are there? 3?
The
Three
third
now,
one
I
came
think,
out
yeah.
relatively
Yeah,
recent.
last year, I
okay,
think.
that's the third one. Okay.
But again, it might be nice just to watch them in a short time period. I think it's nice because if you spoof something, it means that it's part
You're
of
successful.
popular culture.
Yeah.
It's part of what people know, what people enjoy. So it's a sort of flattery, I think. So yeah, I can
definitely.
enjoy a good spy spoof. Yeah, definitely, and I like the genre. Yeah.
All right. Well, my first pick might not even be a spoof because the guy is just a better version of a super secret agent that James Bond pretends to be. He has better women, better gadgets, better cars, better jokes. Of course, Sterling Archer. The man is great. And also, I love the Austin Powers movies, especially the first one, just like you. And I know a lot of people who hate the movie for some reason, but they're not so much of a spoof, more like a love song to the 60s, to the entire spy genre by Mike Myers. And I really think he does a great job in taking all the elements that we love from that period of time and make a great comedy movie out of it.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Exactly. And also, it wasn't on your list, but I think True Lies, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Oh yeah, True Lies.
Would count as well.
Great
It's not
opening.
really a spoof.
It has Art Malik in there. You are fired.
And the
Something like
is it
that.
also the daughter of Barbara Carrero is in there?
Oh, could
The,
be.
the lady.
wow.
Yeah.
Again, decades ago since I saw that.
But the opening scene is really cool.
But I can't remember it right now.
Yeah, it's
Is that with
it's
some
in-
horse?
No, in the snow with the embassy, and he breaks
sure.
in.
Oh,
and-
right. Yeah, with the van. It's with
Tom
with the
Arnold is
surveillance,
in the van.
yeah,
and he, Schwarzenegger breaks
And
in.
they're
and
dancing?
they're dancing, and then he
right.
escapes. And there's 2 dogs that come running right after.
Oh, and he
me.
knocks the dogs against each
Shit,
other.
or something like that. He says.
Probably the same dogs that ate Corinne in Moonraker.
Yeah.
And this True Lies also shows that silly rumors are of all times. Like we have silly rumors about Bond 25 right now. But during the filming of True Lies, people were like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be the new James Bond. Well, no. But
Didn't the plot of True Lies was too close to the synopsis of GoldenEye, and they had to rewrite GoldenEye partly after True Lies came out? That's something that I read.
Okay.
Not an expert on this, but
Anthony, your favorite spoofs?
Some of them are already mentioned, such as Austin Powers, but one that I haven't heard yet, and I don't know if you guys saw it, is Operation Kid Brother from the 60s.
I don't know that one.
With Neil Connery,
Neil Connery.
brother of, as a James Bond-like figure. And
I got a
Yeah,
brother.
it's got like half the Connery cast. in
yeah,
it, doesn't
Bernard
it?
Lee and
Dolph
Louis-
Celli.
Yeah, also
Oh, we have to see that one.
Anthony
I wanna
Dawson is
watch
the,
it.
is
Yeah.
the bad guy. Daniele Bianchi is in there as well. Really
Yeah.
High
lovely.
on my list now.
Yeah,
I was gonna
and
say
it's but
so cool.
Oh,
Is she dubbed? Is she dubbed in this?
I think even Connery is dubbed. So
Neil Connery is dubbed.
yeah.
By Sean Connery.
and you see
I
Miss
don't know,
Moneypenny with a machine gun.
yeah, I was gonna say
Louis
Moneypenny
Maxwell, you
is
mean?
so badass.
Louis
Yeah,
Ma-
she's shooting people
she's
and doing
Miss.
stuff.
She's a secretary as well, but or
I
civilian.
have to see this film.
Yeah, but I have to
It's so cool.
temper your enthusiasm a little bit because it's not such a great film. But it's well, as a matter of fact, it's so bad that it's good.
It sounds better than it is.
Yeah. It has
Like just the amount of star power makes it worth it.
Yeah.
a lot of sexy 60s girls in there.
That's always
Adolfo Celli as bad guy.
Very cool.
with
again.
an eye patch.
No, without an eye patch. You can. I think it's on YouTube. The entire
The
film.
entire film
Yeah, I think it is
for free.
for free. Yeah,
But of course, we do not condone the...
No. It's really
Well, I
bad,
do.
but it's something you should watch. And I remember I read somewhere that this film was made, I think, prior to You Only Live Twice, and Sean Connery was really mad at some of the cast members that they actually portrayed in that film because it was a cheap way of getting a lot of money.
Well, yeah.
But who
Sean
can,
Connery
who can
and money.
blame them permanently? Yeah, sure.
It's always an issue.
Wow.
So yeah, that one.
Okay, and Martin, do you have anything to add to this extensive list of spoofs?
Well, I like Spy Hard, mainly, like we said, the opening titles and some of the very bad tongue-in-cheek jokes. And I think it was the original John in English was one of the first spy-related movies I saw in cinema with my dad. So I really like that one. Also very much like the second one, which is sometimes really very clear homage to Goldfinger. It has Miss Frost in it as well.
Do all three of them have Purvis and Wade scripts?
I don't know.
Because I
I'm
believe
not the
at
expert
least
on
the,
that,
at
but-
least the first one is written by Purvis and Wade, and I believe
That
this is-
explains a lot, actually.
Yeah, I like the Reborn, like the second one a bit more, because it's the first one's full of some jokes of, well, it's a bit like Mr. Bean being Bond, so there's a lot of
that's true.
just being clumsy jokes in there, and the second one is just the typical Atkinson humor as well, but it's a bit more subdued. I really like that one.
The problem I had with the second one is that it didn't seem to know what it was. Was it a comedy? Was it a serious action film? It was kind of
I
struggling
thought
with
it was
the tone.
quite
but
balanced in that one, but
Yeah.
and then there's Archer, of course, which is just brilliant. I've got like my whole home phone is full of memes and like replies and pictures and reaction gifs of Archer. So it's just great. If you've got that kind of sense of humor, you really have to like know that it's not like a parody at all. It's definitely like an 18 plus kind of show, but
It's
it is very
deadly
good.
serious.
Yeah.
Are there any spoofs that we missed? Probably. This isn't- any honorable mentions? I really like the Alan Partridge sketches when he does James Bond. We talked about this as well during our previous Man Talk. But it's not really a Bond spoof, but it's great fun.
That's it for me.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Between 2002 and 2006, the James Bond franchise seemed to be in a bit of a crisis. A lot of people were against the casting of Daniel Craig. They even started a website, danielcraigisnotbond.com. And a lot of people wanted the fifth Brosnan movies. Is there anything that you recall from this period of time? And do you remember how you felt during that hiatus in the Bond movies? I will go first this time. After Die Another Day, I remember that I lost a bit of my enthusiasm about the current James Bond productions. I know that Die Another Day was a big success, so for all I knew, Eon would just continue churning out these movies the way they had done for the past couple of years.
What did you expect them to make? Something that even tops
Yeah.
Die Another Day?
Over the top, somewhat silly, really the spectacle movies that we came up to expect from the Brosnan era.
Like a sort of a Die Another Day meets Austin Powers.
No, not really. But I did think that they would probably continue in the way they were going.
Maybe they would have
now.
like a car in a box. If you throw the box like a Pokemon ball, you throw it and then the car materializes out of nothing.
Or maybe they would go like after Moonraker, we got For Your Eyes Only. The other
With
way.
Brosnan, you mean?
And then a fifth film with Brosnan would be more serious.
I think he should have deserved one, but
Could have been. But so anyway, I remember not really looking forward to Bond 21 or not being really psyched about it. But at the same time, I bought the special edition DVDs. I was 19 years old at the time in 2002. I had just moved out, so I was living on my own. I had some money to spend. And those DVDs were the bee's knees. Really. I mean...
Are those the ones with the 007 on the back, if you put them all together? Yeah, the first one.
Oh, yeah.
The
It's
ones,
the first time you watched them in widescreen, maybe.
No, because I had the VHSs, and those
Yeah,
were...
but those are...
No.
Some of them were widescreen. Yeah.
The ones I had were in CinemaScope.
Wow.
Yeah.
So those were widescreen, but they were in English or dubbed in French or in Italian, and they had those
Amazing menus. Yeah.
amazing menus, but also amazing special features on them. So what I would do is I would buy a few of these DVDs every month. I would start with watching the movie, then I would watch all the special features, probably a couple of times, then watch the movie with all the audio commentaries, because there were audio commentaries on
Were
there
you
as
single
well.
at this time?
No, not really, but I did spend a lot of time on my own. Yes.
You're sleeping on the couch again tonight.
Yes, because that's where the TV is.
Fine by me. Why don't you look like this?
No, so although I was a bit lukewarm towards Bond 21. I had discovered this amazing resource of extra information.
So it was a happy time for you, actually.
Yeah, it was more than okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So then Casino Royale hit the theaters. The rest is history. I do remember that I wasn't really opposed to the casting of Daniel Craig. I was surprised, yes, but also curious to see what he would do with the role. And, well, I think he did a great job in Casino Royale. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anthony?
Yeah, well, my memories kind of reflect yours, Tyler. I kind of lost interest in Bond after Die Another Day. It recently recorded the podcast, and we all know it's not my favorite.
No,
as a
it
matter
wasn't.
of fact, it's my least favorite. So I kind of lost interest in Bond as a character. And I remember in those days I was also 19, 20 years old. I kind of found interest in other films, other movies. So Bond was not really on my mind for a couple of years. And then I heard the casting of Daniel Craig. And I thought, okay, interesting. It's not someone that I would see as the new Bond, but let's see.
So you started a website then?
Yeah.
Craig, not Bond.
Yeah. So yeah, that was me. No, so I just, like you, Tyler, I said, okay, let's see what's going to happen. And then I remember when I saw Casino Royale, I was so pumped. It was a brilliant film. And I remember I was feeling really proud of being a Bond fan. It sounds maybe a bit weird, but before that, sometimes I said, yeah, I like Bond, but then, but the last one is so rubbish.
I can just imagine you at the end of that film, because it has a very powerful ending. You know, the name is Bond, James Bond, and you were just standing up inside the cinema. Yeah, bitch, that's the way you do it.
Well, yeah, something like that. I remember because I went with a couple of friends to Die Another Day, and I was the Bond fan, and they were not, and they were kind of laughing in cinema.
Yeah, making fun of you.
Yeah, because it was so ridiculous some scenes, and I thought
you could have watched Two Towers or another film.
Yeah.
Why did you drag us to this?
Exactly.
Crap?
Yeah,
they're not all like this, I swear.
And we went to Antwerp because the film premiered there a couple of days earlier. So
we have to see this
go
film.
to Antwerp. Yeah. And then they all thought it was a ridiculous film, and I had to agree on that. And then 4 years later, we went with more or less the same group to Casino Royale. And they all said, "Whoa, that was a good film. Not a good Bond film, but a good film." So I was really proud of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my memories regarding those years.
Martin.
Well, I'm gonna show my age here a little bit. After Die Another Day came out, as we said,
you weren't born yet, right?
I wasn't. I was still in development. No. Well, as I said in the Die Another Day podcast, like I was pretty much like the heart of the whole merchandise campaign for everything Bond. You know, you had like the Bond cars and all that, like the Corgi toys and all that stuff. So I was just collecting all of them.
No beard yet, but you had that Philly shave because.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it was all that stuff, and then you had, I think it was the PlayStation and the GameCube games, the video games, Everything or Nothing with Pierce Brosnan voicing, and then you had From Russia with Love with the 80-year-old Sean Connery voicing 30-year-old looking Sean Connery, which is very weird but very cool.
Bond.
Yeah.
Where's my cane?
No, but so that's pretty much how I killed my time with all the games and stuff. And then, well, I didn't know who Daniel Craig was at all, but I was psyched that someone who was also blonde was being Bond. I was like, that opens another door.
I can still be Bond.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, like when you're 14 and you see something like that, it's
clock
all,
is ticking now, Martin.
Yeah, it is. But
I'm still waiting for a bold Bond.
so yeah, I was. Let's hope not.
We had Sean Connery.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler. Thank you very much.
Aww.
I can wear a toupee as well. It's no problem. I'll do that.
Ditch the beard.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If I can play Bond, that's okay.
So I had great fun with the Bond games. Yeah. And then I remember seeing the trailer. It was leaked, like the German or the French trailer or something like that was leaked a couple of days early.
For Casino,
the teaser trailer for Casino Royale, yeah. And then there was the original the song reveal, or like a 30-second clip, and I just listening to "You Know My Name" compared to all the other songs. I'm like, well, this is gonna go somewhere else. And then seeing the first teaser, I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be so cool. So the very day it opened, I took some friends from school. We went to home for a quick lunch and then straight on to theater. And I was just completely blown away by it. So having the two outlandish games with lasers and jetpacks and exploding whatevers, and then seeing a film like that, this is a whole other side of Bond I hadn't seen yet because I wasn't that interested in the 60s films at that time. So it was a kind of an image shift of what Bond was to me.
Yeah. But those, especially Everything or Nothing, those games, they had the production values of a
They were excellent,
of a Bond
yeah.
movie. I mean, William Dafoe as the bad guy. And
Yeah, I mean, you have John Cleese and Judi Dench reprising. You have Pierce Brosnan voicing someone. Maya doing the song.
I recently heard that they had to pay many, I don't know, royalties to Monty Norman for the James Bond games, and he made more money of the games than of the actual recording of the soundtrack for Dr. No. It's ridiculous that for a game it's much more expensive to use James Bond music.
Funny thing is that Tony Hawk, the skateboarder, also made a boatload of money. It's a lot more than he did by skateboarding and selling skateboards
From the games,
from
yeah.
the games.
Games.
It was really a game changer for him.
But the gaming industry is bigger than the film industry annually. The
that way,
grosses
Now,
are...
you mean?
Or at that-
now.
at-
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And
think they've
probably
been
then
for
as
a
well.
long time
Yeah.
already, yeah.
All right, Don.
Yeah, the funny thing about this period is that it's the first time that we consciously probably experienced this kind of situation with the Bond franchise, because there have been previous occasions that there was a crisis within the James Bond universe. It was after, I think, On Her Majesty's Secret Service when they were searching for a new Bond, and then after Diamonds when they were searching for a new Bond.
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Man with the Golden Gun when Saltzman left. What are you going to do after License to Kill? There have
with
been all
Moonraker,
these troubles, but then this is like the period that we remember best, I think, because we lived through it.
Yeah.
And
I lived through the License to Kill to GoldenEye as well.
consciously.
Yeah, because I remember I became a Bond fan somewhere in 91 or so. And of course, the talk of the town was, well, this movie franchise is on its ass. We
Yeah.
don't know whether there will ever be another Bond movie. So I do remember the excitement when GoldenEye was announced.
Ah, right. With this period, I was a firm Pierce Brosnan fan. And I enjoyed those websites. I believe one was from class.net or something, was one of the early James Bond fan sites. And I don't even know who made it. I always assumed it was a woman, but I'm not sure. But I'm just going to say she was firmly opposed to Craig, and she would post photos of how ugly Daniel Craig was, comparing him to all sorts of creatures and the likes. And look at the man, he can't even... He had all these rumors, right? He can't drive.
He can't drive stick shift,
And he's blonde, and that doesn't make any sense. He was too short, and he's afraid to fall out of a boat, so he has a life jacket on. All this kind of stuff. But before this, when I was still uncertain if Brosnan would come back or not, he had all the stories that Quentin Tarantino wanted to do Casino
that I
Royale in black
remember.
and white. He just had a big success with his Kill Bill films. And he wanted to use Pierce Brosnan and make it on a very small budget. That whole project was shelved. I wasn't happy. Also, the way they dumped Pierce Brosnan, and now if you look back and look at the documentaries that were made about that time, they didn't really treat him very well, I think.
But
Still.
just give him a call.
Yeah.
That was
like-
it.
That was
Okay.
it. It's like, I don't know.
No.
They're all millionaires. You have the
Maybe
decency to
maybe
fly
that's
over.
why,
But
Yeah.
I don't know. Especially if you're a fan.
Like if you're looking at it now, I mean, with all the Bond 25 stuff going on, you can see that they've definitely learned from that.
Hopefully, yeah. And I really like it that they have announced that this is going to be the last Daniel Craig. So everybody knows.
Yeah.
And let's make it a party and have a good send-off. And then after a few months, hopefully after the film comes out, we're going to have an announcement, hopefully, probably not, about what the course will be. But yeah, maybe because of that whole I like Pierce Brosnan, I don't like Daniel Craig, it took me a while to be convinced that I should like Casino Royale.
And then you
So
saw
even
the trailer
after you
and
saw
then-
it the first time, you weren't convinced yet.
It took a
I'm
while.
not swayed this easily. I'll have to watch it again for at least.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think, out of the four of us, I experienced this whole period differently. Differently. I would not have minded a fifth Pierce, definitely.
Oh,
not.
no, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. And I also would like to go back to the time they actually made games. I would like to play a James Bond game now.
I've always thought that, take away the nano stuff, that the Everything or Nothing game would make for like an amazing Dine in the Day type of Bond film, actually, because you got all the locations, you got the gadgets.
I'm
it's
looking at
larger than
Tyler
life.
and Anthony, and
I
they're
think
like,
it would be, well,
do we
not
actually need more
like-
Dine Another Day stuff?
No, I mean like
Please no.
not in the way of terrible CGI and Madonna cameos, but more in the way of it's outlandish and it's just
Tsunami surfing.
No, but it's full of excitement, and it's a game, it's targeted at a younger
You're
audience.
not going to
there's
convince them.
tons of explosions and stuff, and that was my experience back then, and I still think it's a very decent story.
The Return of Jaws.
Yeah, we can just skip that one.
Oh, we can skip that
Okay,
one as well. Okay, the Invisible Porsche.
Well, you've had an Invisible Aston, so why not?
No more invisible stuff, please.
It's cool. It's cool. The bike is cool though.
I was thinking about flying your jetpack around Big Ben, but that's in the From Russia with Love.
Yeah,
game. Yeah.
and then flying it through a helicopter to pick someone out of it.
That would have been a nice stunt. All right. Anyway, this was our fourth question. Shall we do another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Let's
do
do
another
one
one.
last.
Okay. What are some of your favorite non-Fleming Bond novels? Anthony.
I'm gonna go for Colonel Sun, and I really enjoyed Devil May Care. Yeah.
It's the Sebastian Faulks one,
Yeah.
right? 2008.
Yeah, Colonel Sun, because it reminds me the most of Fleming's work, I think. And Devil May Care, it's been a couple of years ago that I last read it, but I do remember that I thought, this was a pretty good book, actually. I did enjoy it. I don't like the Garner ones.
None of them.
Yeah,
Wow.
maybe I do. License Renewed, I like it a little bit, and Nobody Lives Forever. I don't like Solo from... what was
Boyd,
it?
William Boyd.
Yeah, thank you, William Boyd. Because... yeah, it's a nice thriller, but it doesn't have a Bond feeling to me, the old African plot. And I don't really enjoy the Raymond Benson novels either. So, yeah, for me...
You're a hard guy to please, man.
I know, yeah. I do enjoy rereading the Fleming ones. But so, yeah, for me, it's Colonel Sun and Devil May Care. Oh, and the new one from...
Forever and a Day.
Relatively new one, Forever and a Day. I did enjoy it as well. I like the idea of a...
Prequel?
Yeah, 007 agent who died and then James Bond takes his code. Although I do think that for the rest of the novel they didn't really do anything with it. But just the first 2 or 3 chapters. That's it. But I did like the villains in the book. That really fat...
Yeah, he's a
bastard.
beast, right?
Yeah, I liked him.
With the strange voice. Have you listened to the audiobook
No,
version?
I haven't.
It's great fun.
Okay.
Can we add something to this question, Tyler? Because I'm interested to know how you rank those books to the Flemings. If you compare what was it? Colonel Sun, Forever and a Day.
Because Colonel Sun is the I remember the best. I think it would be... I think I do enjoy most Fleming novels more than I do Colonel Sun, but it would be somewhere... I do think it's better than Man with the Golden Gun, and I do think it's better than... I'm not a fan of You Only Live Twice, the novel. Yeah, and of course Spy Love Me, and I don't like that one either. So it's somewhere around.
Why do you say of course?
Sorry, Don. All right.
Tread carefully.
Because I don't like that the deviation Fleming chose for Spy Love Me. So I think Colonel Sun somewhere around, number 10 or 11, something like that. Yeah. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, just ask a question. Sorry.
Martin, you haven't read the Fleming yet, so...
Not all of them, no, so don't hate me for that one. But I did like Solo. I think the story was quite interesting of putting one in that, whole locale. And the one I read recently is Carte Blanche, and I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I think that was a great way of getting some very familiar Bond elements and then yet mixing it up in, having the story take place in a couple of days, and... There's a lot of snooping and classic spying in there. And I also liked Gardner's Roll of Honor. I think that has some very Fleming-esque elements in there as well.
What was Roll of Honor again?
With the
I always mix them up, the Gardner ones.
Roll of Honor is with the Spectre plot with the guy with the computers.
Oh, who falls down
the
Zeppelin. Yeah.
It's the guy that wants to destroy the world. And then Bond is sent out and he stops him.
Oh, original.
With the plot, with the robbery and Bond being kicked out.
All right, Don?
Without becoming too repetitive, I also like Colonel Sun. I think it fits the Fleming novels quite nicely. It came out a couple of years after Octopussy, I think, 68, something like that. And Kingsley Amis, it's both a simple, straightforward story, and it is complex, if that makes sense, at the same time. It has some proper spy stuff with the Russians having a delegation and then Colonel Sun from the Chinese trying to intervene. And it's intelligent, and it also shakes things up a bit with kidnapping of M and the killing of his...
Hammond.
The Hammonds, yeah, I like that one. I can reread that easily.
Yep.
I agree with you that the gardeners are quite interchangeable. I remember really enjoying License Renewed and for Special Services, and also a couple of the others. One, I'm reading them, or more often I'm listening to them on audiobook. I enjoy them, but afterwards I can't really remember which is which. The Gardner uses so many characters, and there are always 2 or 3 traders in there, and you're just waiting for the twist because he wants a twist. So not a big fan of the Gardeners.
Yeah, sometimes you have a twist upon a twist upon a twist.
Yeah, and then I lose track.
Which one was it? That there was a team working together, and
Yeah.
at the end of the story, nobody was that you would think. Which one?
Probably
Icebreaker. Yeah, Icebreaker.
It's the third one, right? Yeah. But he has good titles, and
He has
he
good
had
titles.
someone that came out with the Bond book every year, which is kind of amazing to think of a plot.
He wrote more than Fleming.
Yeah, he actually did, yeah. And then you have Benson, and I think I prefer Benson to Gardner. But if I had to choose, I'd go with High Time to Kill. I think that's the one that feels the most authentic.
Also a bit, I think it's original, the plot.
Yeah, it's with the mountaineering in Nepal, I think.
Yeah.
I really like that one, yeah. And out of the recent ones, if I had to pick one, I also like Carte Blanche, like you said, Martin. I think that's a nice way of updating Bond, but the other ones are more contemporary. I think the first Horowitz, Trigger Mortis, is more of a straightforward mission, more Fleming-like, and I really enjoyed the Forever and a Day vibe. The whole atmosphere of the 50s and the south of France. That whole atmosphere was absolutely perfect, was spot on. But I think I'm a bit prejudiced about that book because I read it in advance because I had an interview with Anthony Horowitz himself. So I was on a high when I read that book. Yeah, but I really like that one. Yeah.
All right.
What about you?
Yeah.
Well, I prefer my Bond novels to be set in the time that they are written in, so that Bond is a contemporary character. So no Solo, no Trigger Mortis, no... What was the other one? Devil May Care or Forever and a Day. For me, although I did think that Devil May Care was pretty good, actually. But no, I like... I like Icebreaker by John Gardner, although I do agree that with the Gardner novels, you always expect that there's some sort of... The villain has some sort of big curtain where all the double and triple and quadruple crosses are behind. Like, yes, you thought he was your ally, but here is Jimmy, and Jimmy is a bad guy. And here is the Bond girl for this week, and she's also a bad guy.
But really, she isn't. No. Wait, what?
Exactly. So you come to expect that with Gardner, but I did think Icebreaker had a nice feel to it.
But some of them are also really boring. Really boring.
Yes, things like Never Send Flowers or Cold. Or
the one in the submarine. Or in the Navy.
For a very long time in the submarine. I remember that.
With Thatcher is there as well in the end.
Probably a parrot.
Is it Win, Lose or Die?
Could be.
Well, they are quite interchangeable. But also I like High Time to Kill.
Yeah.
And The Man with the Red Tattoo, 0-10. I do think that the Union trilogy of Raymond Benson is pretty good. Yeah. So I like that one. And when comparing them to Fleming, well, there's not really a comparison because they really all feel like different novels. I mean, Kingsley Amis tried to write as Fleming, and so did Sebastian Faulks. But really, Bond is a different character in those books as well. So I think Raymond Benson's Bond is more like the movie Bond than the book Bond.
Can I ask you something that I just thought of? Because you read Solo, right? And I think Bond celebrates his 45th birthday at the beginning.
Yeah.
Doesn't Fleming write in Moonraker that 45 is the age that you automatically stop being a 00?
Yeah, or that they just don't live past 45 usually.
I think that was the constitutory age and you had to quit.
Okay. Could very well be.
Okay. Well, continuity in Bond.
Let's not go there. Yeah.
Okay, so I have one more question on my list. Do we save it till the next time? Or
because then we can add more questions to that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So for our next Man Talk episode, we have at least one question. If you have other questions to add to that list, please email us at moneypenny@the00files.com. Follow us on Twitter or all the other social media that are out there. And the first question that we will take care of during our next episode will be: the Bond franchise has inspired many spy-related TV and film series, such as Mission Impossible, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Our Man Flint, The Avengers, and so on. What is your personal favorite?
Mission Impossible! Not necessarily.
We'll see.
The Avengers, do you mean Captain America? Okay.
All right. See you next time. Bye-bye.
A man of intrigue, he lives for the thrill. Always has places to go and people to kill. Danger is the game he plays, and he holds every card. 'Cause if you wanna win, you gotta spy hard. A man of the world, so suave and discreet. He trips over the women piled up at his feet. But evil's lurking, so he's always on his guard. 'Cause if you're gonna spy, you better spy hard. He's always there when the chips are beginning to fall. He wouldn't care if they kicked him and grabbed him and shot him and stabbed him and nailed both his ears to the wall. Facing death every day is a tough job for any man. But his hours are flexible and he's got a great dental plan. By the way, if you walked in late, allow me to reiterate the name of